Welcome back to part 4 of our live training session here with our 2011 Evo 10 MR. The last tutorial we focused on doing our full throttle calibration process. This tutorial, we're going to be learning how we can increase our boost pressure past the base wastegate actuator level, which is about 18-20 pounds on this particular turbo we're working with. So we're going to be using our Pierburg 3-port boost solenoid, learning how we can dial up our boost pressure, getting more horsepower and torque out of our engine safely on our 93 octane petrol fuel that we're dealing with here. So we're going to experiment with a lot of different things. We're going to be taking a look at how we can ramp up our clutch pressures here on our SST transmission to eliminate clutch slippage, which we're going to get in this particular live training tutorial and learn how we can deal with that so we can eliminate the clutch slip problem. We're going to have a lot to cover and talk about. Let's jump in so we can check this out.
Welcome back to our live training session here with our Evo 10 MR. In our last tutorial, we focused on our full throttle tuning off of the wastegate actuator level. So this is always the first step in our full throttle tuning process. We want to make sure we dial things in at the lowest boost level possible. On this particular drop-in ATP 3576R turbo, the wastegate actuator was between 18 to 20 pounds. We were seeing on the very last pull right around 19, 20 pounds, dropping to about 18 pounds at the high RPM. In this tutorial, we're going to be learning how we can use the boost control programming within our ECU flash software here in the factory Evo 10 ECU to turn up the boost pressure using an aftermarket 3-port boost solenoid. Now, I have a Pierburg boost solenoid that's been installed for this particular setup that we're working with here. The Pierburg solenoids are a 3-port solenoid, but a little bit different than the traditional Mac 3-port solenoids you find at Cobb cells and Grimm speed cells. The Pierburg solenoids are used on BMWs and Volvos. I purchased this particular Pierburg solenoid from Ballinger Motorsports. They're about $50. They work very well. What I like about them is they give you a little bit more resolution for the boost control, meaning the relationship between the boost as it's turning up and the duty cycle to achieve that boost. We need to go in and usually bump a little bit more duty cycle in to get a higher boost level. It gives us a little bit more fine control over the boost pressure. So this is personal preference. The 3-port solenoid would work perfectly fine here as well, but I am running a little bit different boost solenoid than what you would find on our traditional Evo 10. So I'm running a Pierburg style solenoid. So what we're going to be doing here is learning how we can increase the boost. There's some things that we need to get out of the way first here. Talking about what we have in terms of limitations for the SST transmission, specifically the clutch packs. The clutch packs can only handle about 350 to 360 pound-feet of torque at the wheels before the clutch packs will start to slip. Now, we can easily achieve that kind of torque when we run the stock turbo, and we can easily achieve that kind of torque on this larger turbo, but we have the advantage at the high engine RPM, so 5,000, 6,000 RPM and higher, to really bring up the power at high RPM and not exceed that particular torque limitation where the stock clutches will slip with this SST transmission. If we take a look at our dyno graph quick here, now I have up on screen, this is the compilation of our last pulls. We see the torque here was about 330 pound-feet of torque. We see the horsepower here is about 375 to 380. What we're going to be doing and trying to accomplish here is getting this torque to hold flat up to the high RPM. If we can hold this torque flat and not go over that 350, 360 marker point where the clutches can slip, we can really pick up our high RPM horsepower, probably to the tune of about 440 to 450 horsepower at the high RPM, but still have relatively low torque. Now, having torque does allow the vehicle to accelerate and to move much quicker, but we need to be mindful of how we're programming this, specifically for an MR. Now, if you're on a GSR, the clutch, the actual normal clutch that you would deal with, is going to be your limiting factor. If you have an upgraded clutch, well, then that wouldn't be a factor. But we do have the limitation of the stock bottom end. We don't like to exceed around 400 pound-feet of torque at the wheels with the stock engine. So you still have a limitation there, but you'll find that you don't have clutch packs, wet clutch packs like in the SST transmission. That'll be something you have to worry about before the actual bottom end torque limitation. So I need to make sure that I'm mindful of that, of how I'm dialing things in. I'm going to go about turning up the boost in a very specific manner we're going to take a look at here in just a few minutes. So that's the first thing to discuss and to talk about. So we need to make sure we're mindful of that torque limitation for the stock clutches. Now, if you have upgraded clutch packs, maybe Datsun's or another brand clutch packs, you're able to turn up the boost to whatever the limitation of that clutch is going to be and the limitation of the fuel that you're dealing with. So if you're dealing with pump gas, you probably can't go much higher than about 500 wheel horsepower. If you're dealing with ethanol, higher octane fuels, race gas, you can definitely crank the boost up a bunch and be able to make a lot more power. But that's again going to be a limitation of whatever the upgraded clutch packs are going to be. Now in this particular setup, I wanted to upgrade the clutch packs before we did the filming, but there's such a long delay in getting the transmission sent out and having the clutch packs taken care of. It was a 6-month to a 12-month delay with COVID, so I decided not to do it and just to go ahead and dial everything in here with the stock clutch packs. In the future, if I do upgrade the clutch packs on this car, we will revisit, refilm again and talk about maybe some of the changes that I had to make based on the new clutch packs, and then being able to dial up the boost a little bit further and the power levels a little bit further for this stock engine and the setup that we're dealing with here. But for right now, we are limited, so you're going to be having to be mindful of the clutch packs. Now, the other limitation that we have going on here is going to be our fuel system. I have ID 1050X injectors with a drop-in DW 300C fuel pump. This combination on pump gas.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.